Welcome back to another video. This video is a very special one because it's the longest video that I've ever uploaded on YouTube, and it's my first interview on this channel. I want to thank you, Samidri, for accepting my invitation and coming on my channel. She's very much talented and highly experienced. I hope that you guys find our exchange very resourceful. So, since the video is so long, I've actually put the timestamp, which will make it easier for you to navigate through different topics throughout the video. Hope you guys enjoy it, and let's jump right into it.
Okay, so just to
Yeah,
give a quick summary, you've been studying Mandarin Chinese for 7 years.
sure. So I'll introduce myself. So hey, my name is Samriddhi. A lot of people known me as like Sam or my Chinese name Xiaorong. And I've been studying Mandarin for like last 8 years. I started in 2013. I started when I was in second year of my college. And by 2015, I got an opportunity to study in China through a scholarship. So I went there. I studied for one semester. I came back in 2016. I wanted to continue my studies because in 2016 I completed HSK4, which is a B2 level, and I want to, of course, reach up to C2 level. And I knew that I need at least 2 years of studying in China in order to complete that goal. But that time, due to some unfortunate circumstance, I couldn't pursue that goal and I had to stay in India. So I somehow got an opportunity to teach Mandarin. So that's how my teaching career started, because someone gave me opportunity to like teach the Mandarin language. And then I taught Mandarin for like 2 years from 2016 to 2018. And then finally, I got an opportunity again to go to China. Basically, my parents sponsored me to go to China. I was really trying hard to find scholarships, but unfortunately, I was not getting any. So finally, after trying so much, my parents said like, okay, we are going to sponsor you. So they sponsored me and I went back to China in 2018. I have currently finished HSK level 5, C1 level, and I'm preparing for C2 level. At the same time, because of this pandemic, I have started teaching online, and that has been going pretty great, and that has been keeping me busy as well. So yeah, that's my story. So yeah.
You also have a YouTube channel, by the way, which goes by the China Life.
Yeah, living the
What's
China life.
living the China life?
Right.
And it's just at the time it's like you haven't been posting a lot, and I've been trying to get you to come back on YouTube for quite some time to
Yes.
start posting more videos. Is there a specific reason, or was it just you were trying to focus on something else at the time?
So no, definitely, I really want to pursue YouTube. Like that was my first thing, first priority, first dream. But due to the pandemic,
Yeah.
everything changed for me somehow, because previously I was in China and my whole focus was on YouTube. But now when I came back to India, I w- I was like, I had really nothing to do, and I really wanted to focus on how I can make myself financially stable, or let's say independent. So I've started actually teaching online Mandarin Chinese. So, and this whole new venture of teaching online has taken up so much time of mine that I'm not able to pursue YouTube as of now. But definitely, I plan to come back on YouTube by, let's say, either end of this year or by next year January.
All the videos that you have are very practical, and I think what the best part that I like about it is the way you tell stories. I think that's the thing that I liked about uh, you from even on Instagram, when
Right.
when you went into your story about how you got into learning Chinese and
Yeah.
how you got started off and how you went to university and did those years, and then
Yeah.
you have to come back now back on Instagram. So
Right.
like just watching that and how you narrate those stories, I think that's the best part about it. So and I'm telling you, like, people are waiting for it. People are definitely waiting for you to come back.
Thank you.
So
Like, I really feel like storytelling is very powerful, and if you can present your videos in the form of storytelling, it really captures them. So I literally spent like a lot of time in making script of what I want to present, and
yeah.
yeah, like before like doing editing. So it shows that. I'm so glad like people can notice that.
Especially with the story, when whereby you first came to, I think it was your second time coming to China, and like you're in a taxi, and the guy just kind of like had the meter on for so long.
Yeah, yeah. I was
So,
ripped.
okay, so someone would think about telling this story, but you already were like just recording the whole thing, and your friend coming to help you out, and back at the apartment, like when you were
Yeah.
just so done with the luggages and they were just so heavy. So I think that's it's a skill. Which this is the main reason. Like I was like Sam, just come back on YouTube. This is like you shouldn't stop doing this. So I guess speaking of, there are very few people I think that whom I've met so far who are also teaching at the same time. Like
Okay.
they've mastered to a certain level and they're teaching now to others.
Right.
So I guess, and me being just only about barely 9 months in, uh, one of the things that I would like to know is that you started teaching in 2016.
Right.
So you have about 4 years of experience with students. What's the number one mistake that you have seen most people make?
Most students don't realize that Chinese is a language with tones. They really, a lot of, most of the times, they really don't consider, they don't see the tones. They don't see the difference between ni hao and ni hao. Like there is difference, ni hao and ni hao, and people fail to understand that. And when they start studying this language, they fail to see the tones. So what happens after 1 or 2 years of studying grammar and vocabulary, they start speaking with Chinese people and they realize Chinese people are not able to understand them,
Mm,
and they don't know why it is like that. They are like, we have worked so hard, why they are not understanding us, or why we are not able to understand them. Okay, Chinese is a tonal language, and now you have learned 600 vocabulary, and now if you want to redo all the vocabulary with tones, it is a task. And like, people really
yeah,
give up on this. Like, okay, I have already spent two
yeah.
years now you want me to spend more time in just doing everything all again because I didn't focus on tones. So one of the biggest mistake people make is not concentrating and focusing on tones from day one. No, tones and pronunciation is the backbone of Mandarin Chinese. So if that is perfect, your journey is going to be so smooth.
I think I will agree with you a lot on this because, see, for me, I guess the good part was that I do get interaction with Chinese people, if not
Right.
on a daily basis, at least on a weekly basis, just through customers, or there's a local supermarket that I visit
Right.
quite often. So, and many of them will actually, they won't be shy to correct me with my tones. So, and I was really high on just like output, like just get to conversation, like start conversing with people. I was like really
Right.
big on, and I still am, but I've realized that I have to step back and focus back on the tones and make sure that I'm getting them right. And I'm actually really glad that I had this realization, uh,
Early.
like 6 months in early on,
Good.
because you know what, sometimes like once those bad habits that get ingrained, and then it's difficult to reverse those habits to
So
get it to
difficult.
say it the right way.
Yeah,
And what
yeah.
I've noticed is that for the past 2 3 months since I've started paying attention to tones, I'm always conscious about them automatically. So even when I
Right.
hear a new sound or a word, I'll first write it down what I'm hearing, and then I'll check that if I
Right.
heard the right thing.
Right.
And I think this at the beginning, it's because the thing about tones is it's almost like annotations, I guess. And I would actually say that listen, just at the beginning, just
Yeah,
listen to the
listen.
sounds
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have
as
a
much as
friend.
possible. Because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I have a friend in linguistics, and what he said to me when he was learning Chinese, he said, I didn't spoke a word for 6 months. I only studied and I only listened. And after 6 months, I started speaking. And he speaks like he has one of the finest Chinese I know. Like, he was with me in advanced level course. He's from America only, and like his Chinese is so good. And he said like 80, he was giving 100% focus on to listening to input. So first he
yeah,
gave 100% let's say 100% to input, and then he started producing output. If you do the pronunciation practice or the basically tones practice, what you are basically doing is making your jaw muscle practice. So your jaw, your tongue muscles, your throat is not accustomed to the Chinese sounds and Chinese pronunciation. So in order to have that practice, you need to do a lot of things. You need to like maybe say sentences in, like listen to the sentence and speak the sentence. That's it. Even you don't
Yeah.
understand that sentence, just repeat it, because your jaw muscle will get accustomed. Then another way to practice the tone is always practice tone in pairs, like 今天
Okay.
or 中国 or 知道, like these kind of disyllabic words, because most of the Chinese syllables are like disyllabic. So it's best that if you practice in di or trisyllables. So that will really help a lot.
Really glad like I came on track early on, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, like my assumption was that and I think a lot of people probably have this assumption, which that the tones will take care of itself, and it won't. Like
It
you have
won't.
to
It
pay
won't.
attention to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially like with the simplest words like nali,
Mm.
nali, like just
Mm.
it's the
Yeah.
same word but very different meaning.
Yeah.
One is a question and the second one is like you pointing at something,
There.
like there
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, I think
But
the
there is also one thing that I have seen on the internet, that there are people who say tones are not that important. You can still speak in Chinese if you just mimic. So I think those people have studied Chinese for 8 and 9 years. And when you are spending 8 or 9 years in a language and you are living in that country as well, so at some point tones become a bit insignificant because you start just catching up what they are saying. So you're really not
yeah,
really and you are actually speaking in tones unconsciously, because you're so much listening to Chinese, because you're basically in China, right? So that is
yeah.
also one case, that is also one aspect, that you will find those people who have never focused on tone and still they speak in perfect tones, because they have just spent so much time in China, and so much time in like in input. So
I guess a really good question would be that, and I don't know if you have any, like you must have some idea about this. Do kids in China learn tones in classrooms?
they
Like, are
do,
they,
they
is
do.
they do?
So
So
they do.
that's a thing they consciously learn
E-
before it becomes a
yes,
intuition thing. Like, yeah,
yes, they do learn. They learn it
yeah,
from like three, then when they are 3 years old, because I have lived with a Chinese family. So I see them, like they wake up at 6
yeah,
a.m. every day. They practice for 1 hour only reading. They read for 1 hour every day.
yeah,
Right. Even the
yeah.
pronunciation as well. They learn the pronunciation as well. And just the way we learn, like the pinyin way. If you
Hmm.
there is a YouTube playlist called BBC Real Chinese. So they have like a playlist of 10 videos in where they have like basically introduced the everything about China, from like, let's say, how they study to their family culture, workplace, everything. So the first video is basically speaking China. That's the heading of the video. So in that video you can see how Chinese people learn Mandarin. So it's a very interesting video.
Hmm.
It's a 15-minute video, BBC Real Chinese.
I also had a realization with learning Hindi, for example.
Okay.
I just realized that, throughout my life, I've never really spoken the language at all, but I understand it so well. I understand it just as well as I would understand English or even Gujarati, which I speak at home.
Okay.
So maybe even more, like I really understand Hindi really well. I may not be able to speak it, to my best, but as far as just like hearing something and I can tell what's going on. So taking that into consideration, and then I'm saying, I just thought to myself, if I only just listen,
Hmm.
listen and really try to see between hear the sounds between the words, how the words
Right.
are ending. Because there's so much, even when I was learning how to just output so much, and when I would go out and try to practice with native speakers, I
Right.
honestly could not hear them like 80% of the time. 85% of the time I could not hear them.
You're right.
um, and I know the problem is because I just my listening, and also with the output. So this is like it goes. I'm also going to take this further. sometimes how can you produce the right sounds when you cannot even hear the right sounds in
That
the first
sounds
place?
true.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I think you have to first train your ears to really capture the full essence of the full sounds that are being
Totally.
produced.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you cannot just be like, hear something and just, like this is what it is. Because I don't think, I think your brain will, it takes time for your brain to accept this new set of sounds and kind of become used to it and
Yes.
really just kind of, start picking them up on naturally. But at the
Yeah.
beginning, it's because I remember, okay, 8 months, like 9 months ago, for me, like
Right.
these things are still fresh. I
Right.
could not even like make differentiate when the words are, or even when the sentence is ending. I wouldn't know that, hey, this is the end of a sentence and this is the end of a beginning of a new sentence. Now I've reached a point
Yeah.
whereby I can easily differentiate words, and I know,
But
okay, I
you
know
have,
this. Yeah,
yeah, you have also not studied like Mandarin logic like systematically, I would say. Like you don't know
yeah,
like what is a o e u ü po po mo fo t th n l k k
like
h,
the vowels. No, 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 no,
right? You
no.
haven't. So
Yeah, yeah,
I really
I haven't.
feel you should. I mean, it
I
really
should.
makes a
Yeah,
lot of difference. Like I
yeah,
mean, anybody should learn from the pronunciation first. So because basically, you have heard about the mnemonics method. So if you relate a sound with your own sound, it will be so much easier for you to understand the sounds and speak those sounds. For example, like a is basically a for like like in Hindi we say right,
yeah.
to mango.
Yes,
Mango we say
mango.
or you can say in English you can relate it with, okay, a is basically the a of R, like we are students, like r. Then again o is like leave it o, like u is like Uber, or like
Yes,
owl in Hindi. So if you
yes,
start relating to the sounds with your own mother tongue, it really helps a lot in remembering the sounds. And then in when you listen to the sounds, you also know, okay, what I am listening. Because chi ch and chi ch z, you can't know they are speaking chi shi ch
yeah,
ch sh. Like these six sounds are like, wow, it takes so much of time to
yeah.
actually understand. And there are two sounds which I really made mistakes for 4 years of my life, just because my pronunciation was not good. So one is water, which is shui, shui. And one is
Okay.
snow. Snow is XUE third tone, and water is SHUI third tone, and snow is
Yeah,
XUE third tone. So snow is xue, xue, and water is shui, shui. And I
yeah,
always used to mess up these two sounds. I always, whenever I ask for water, that I want water, they see me with blank face that what I'm trying to say, because I always say waya shui, because I
mm,
also
yeah, yeah,
I also initially I used to speak without tones. So 我要水,
yeah,
and they're like, what? And then I started like 我要水, then they understood me.
mm,
Okay, she's saying 水 and not 学. So
yeah,
so because my
yeah. That will
pronunciation
be.
is very clear in my head.
Yeah, they'll take you to the library. They're like, all right, study. You want to study?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Is there something that you wanna ask about me or wanna
Sure.
learn
I
something that?
really want to know about your journey. Like, what was the motivation or purpose behind learning Mandarin for you?
Okay, so for me, it started as first, I went to China, and
Okay.
then I was introduced to people, and like you just kind of get a feel of like the culture, what China. It was my first time, and
Right.
then last year I was like, during my first visit, I just made a joke with one of my colleagues that, next time when I come, like you're gonna see me speaking proper Chinese.
Okay.
So time goes by and I keep on procrastinating that thing. Like I'm not like really looking into it, I just kind of went through like few words. I'm like, okay, fine. You'll get to it. Like it's gonna be
Right.
easy.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so like I know that I'm gonna go visit, like I have to go visit China again. And it's like I'm 1 month in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, just like try to see as much as that you can study within this 1 month. So I just freaked out, and I'm just like, going through memorize and just trying to memorize as much as vocabulary that I can.
Yeah.
And basically, in China, when I was started speaking to people, and I think that's like I also made a vlog, just going to KFC. So at that point, I was basically barely a month in studying Chinese. It's all broken. I'm barely saying words in that video. But the thing
Oh.
is that, I saw those, when people don't expect you to be speaking their language, and you just see
Mm-hmm.
this look on their face like, oh, wow. So, and that really, I don't know, that really did it for me. So that got me, I was just like, I'm going to do more of this and just see
Fascinated.
how far I can, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
far I can go with it. That motivation has really been just that. Like, I really want to go and just like really just blow their minds, maybe take them to a restaurant and just do
You,
everything
yeah.
in,
You
in
are the
Mandarin Chinese
next,
and just,
yeah, you
yeah,
are the next Xiaoma.
Xiaoma. Yeah, wow, with
I
me.
mean,
Well,
that,
he's been speaking for 10 years or something, hasn't he? Like, it's been like crazy, stupid long time. He has
yeah, yeah,
been, I don't
yeah.
know how long it's been for him.
And now, like,
But
he has
yeah,
also started Chinese courses as well, like beginners Chinese courses that he's providing.
yeah, I think I did see an ad. Was it on Instagram? I really can't
Yeah, he
remember.
did it on
Uh,
Instagram as well. And like and
yeah,
yeah, he like, it is very interesting that how his story has been. So like, he has gathered so much. I mean, I think his journey is so interesting as like a langpreneur, because that is what he's trying to be, I think, right now. Because I listened his podcast, in there's a podcast called Langpreneur. So in that podcast, basically a lot of language entrepreneurs come and tell their journey. So Shama was also, I think, being invited, and he talked about the what he's trying to do right now. See, so he has gathered so much great audience over the years, right, on YouTube and on Instagram. So Instagram, I think he has like some around 40,000 followers, and in YouTube he has like around 1 million. Now he is starting his own Chinese courses, because he has been teaching for 4 years as well, and he has some linguistic background. So I realized, like, it is so important to build an audience and then sell your courses instead of just start selling your courses. So somehow, like, I'm very much right now conflicted whether to continue making money, like it's a short term money that I'm making right now, or should I stop, take a pause, and focus on maybe developing more audience through YouTube and Instagram. But that is not going to give
yeah.
me instant money. It's a long term thing. I might get the benefits of it after 1 or 2 years.
But I think, with when it comes to, I guess, to the business side of language learning,
Mm-hmm.
for me, how I always look at things is that at the end of the day, it's all about brand, right? Like what you want your brand to be about.
Yeah, I
So,
just yeah, I'm
so
really realizing that now.
for that, I would actually say that if you really go to his YouTube page
Yeah.
and you just try to even go through his all videos, he also had another channel, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I watched like those videos that he made from during his first year of just learning Chinese,
Yeah. Oh,
when he was just making videos from his first year of learning Chinese. And then finally, after a year, he was like, hey, look, this is how much I learned in 1 year.
right, right.
And then he wasn't even concerned about making a course. I'm pretty sure people were asking him, like, put out a course, put out a course.
Right,
And that's just
right.
what happens. That's the power of social
So
media and this all of that. So,
that's totally.
uh,
Yeah, so I actually wanted to ask you that you have learned Chinese for 9 months, right? And you have done you have like did all the permutation and combination. So if you have to give advice for a like a total newbie, he wanted to learn Chinese, what he should do, how he should start, what are the mistakes like you made that others should not, like what should be the right strategy, is if even if you're self-studying, should you directly start from sentences,
yeah.
should you go through the pronunciation, should you hire a teacher, like what you should do at, like
Okay, so
in
so far what I've noticed is that I wasted a lot of time trying to cram just vocabulary alone.
okay.
And that was because I was really hooked on the app Memrise,
Yeah,
and my
yeah,
whole goal was just like, if you just did this alone, and did nothing else. Like if you just, and I mean, I was watching a TV show as well at the time, but my whole mindset was like, if you just did this alone, can you really just learn from it? And I don't even know why I had that fixation, because looking back, like that's a strange fixation. You know, you cannot really learn a language just from vocabulary. Now with something so obvious was like my judgment was just so clouded, foggy, whatever you want to call it. But I was really into it. I thought like it's possible, and so that's all I did for the first 5 months. So I guess don't do that. That's for sure. I can say like don't worry about vocabulary, and don't even like study vocabulary by itself, because it
Right, right, right,
doesn't make sense. You have to.
right.
I think instead of learning vocabulary, learn small phrases.
That is
You
very
know,
helpful. Yeah.
learn small phrases. And even then I would say that the most important thing, I guess, would be like from day one, just start inputting things.
Right, right.
So what I've discovered now is like I listen to a lot of podcasts. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
commuting to work, commuting back from work, early in the morning, 4 a.m., I'll just turn it on. So I'm just constantly being just exposed to the sound. When I'm taking the shower, when I'm out, whatever I'm doing, like that, it's something in Mandarin is just gonna be playing.
That's
And
great.
that's really helping me get used to with the sounds. Not only when used to with the sound, what I'm noticing now is that uh, even when I'm thinking that I'm not really focusing on it, some part of my brain is actually trying to make out the meaning or what's being
Right,
said. So
right.
there'll be few phrases in which I'm like, I know that, I know this, and it's becoming. I think another reason why I stuck with memorize so much was that I really wanted to terminate a theory. So for me to nullify something that this does not work, I have to first do it completely and then make a judgment on it that hey, this thing really doesn't work.
Right,
So even though like memorize, like completing those things, it didn't really help me comprehend anything or really speak anything at all. When I moved on to other methods of learning, such as like there was this really nice podcast that I enjoyed, still enjoyed, by Learn Chinese by Melnix.
hmm.
It's totally free.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is
yeah.
on Google Podcast as well.
Yeah, it
And
is on
he doesn't offer
Spotify
a
as well.
paid version for it, whereby you get the opinion and everything. Like
Yeah,
he'll provide
right,
you with the opinion PDF. But
right.
I found it much better just to write it down and kind
Yeah,
of like extract everything from it, because I
everything.
was actually putting a lot more focus, and
Right,
like you're just putting in a lot more work to get everything out. So I think when you have a PDF just in front of you, you can you not engage into the podcast. You
right,
might
right.
be doing something else, and yeah. So to sum it up, I think listening is very important. You have to have a lot of input
Input.
and input. So what input will do is what you're learning already, your brain will automatically try to match it.
Right.
Like, okay, this is what you heard, and this is that's exactly what you learn. So your brain will just try to link things together. And you need to have constant input. I think no matter what your study method is, whether that's vocabulary, you're learning sentences, like have non-stop input. And I would say
Right.
that podcasts are actually much better than watching a TV show also. I would argue that. Because
Right.
when you're watching a TV show, okay, there is a conversation taking place and you're getting the visual cues. That's good. But I think in terms of TV episodes compared to podcasts, the
Yeah.
density, I feel like podcasts are much more dense because the conversation just keeps on going on.
Right.
And while you're watching a TV show, there are transitions, the music may come in the background, and it's not as dense as
I think
podcasts.
yeah, I think podcast is more learning based, like active learning, but like web series or movies are most like passive learning till HSK 3 or 4. After HSK 4, the TV series or like let's say the movies also become very active learning because you have learned a lot. But yeah, if you're at a beginner level and you've started watching movies or TV series, what you can
Yeah.
gain from is the intonation, like how Chinese people are speaking. 对呀，我就是这样的人 or
Mhm.
真的吗？就是这样吗？ Like these kind of intonation you can definitely pick it up from the movies at very beginning level as a beginner, but you can't really catch words or how they are framing sentences, and that you catch only after HSK 4, I would say. So it's more
Yeah.
passive learning. Yeah, you maybe intonation is good, but yeah, not like vocab or grammar in beginner level. So
Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to discuss with you was
yeah,
how certain habits or such as meditation or any other sort of thing whereby you kind of like putting a ritual into it or doing
right.
things a certain way, how that all accounts into this overall way of going into language and learning it. And yeah.
Right, right. I think when you start meditating or have like a routine kind of a thing, so meditation really helps a lot in focus and concentration. And right now we are living in a generation where we are so much addicted to our phones and our concentration span has really shortened to TikTok level, like 15 seconds, literally 30 seconds, and we are like want to
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
the
yeah,
things.
yeah.
So of course
I
it
agree,
affects
yeah.
in your real life as well. It affects in the
Yeah,
way you study, it affects in the way you read things or how much time you can put. like like previously there could be a 3 hour class. Right now, even if I take a 2 hour class, people think, oh my god, it's too much, I cannot study 2 hours. So people's, let's say, learning span has shortened down to 1 hour to 90 minutes. They cannot study more than that in, like, let's say the four, if you are taking like a group course. So if you are being mindful, if you're practicing meditation, it really helps in the way that meditation is actually helping you to become more focused and concentrated, and that really helps in languages as well. Next, developing a routine. So when you develop a routine, you basically attach a particular time or day to language learning. So for example, I am trying a lot of methods. I try to study in morning. I'm trying to study in afternoon. I'm also trying to study in evening to just see which part of the day really synchronizes with me, because I think we all have a different way to study things. Some people are like night owls, they like to study at night, their concentration is high on night. Some people like to study in the morning, some people like to study in afternoon. I think I'm that kind of a person. I love to study in the morning. If I've gotten done like 1 hour of study in the morning, I feel so much like, wow, I have done such amazing work. Also, there is
yeah,
the philosophy that I want, not philosophy, there is a thing that I want to tell. So what I do, I think I read it somewhere, I discussed it with one of my friend. So what happens in our brain is, morning hours are always kept for creativity, and so that's why people, wake up early, they meditate, they have a morning routine, they do yoga, and they do lot of writing work in the morning, because morning is the time to create. It's all about
yeah,
creativity. Then your comes like afternoon and evening, which is a more intellectual thing, where work comes. So you do all the work related stuff, the heavy stuff in the afternoon and evening. Then after evening comes like your now your creative left brain has been fully used, and your intellectual brain has been fully used. What is left is the emotional part. Now that's why in evening people try to spend time with their families or friends, because evening is basically your brain wants to give all of their energy to the emotional part of your life, because it all has to be balanced, your creativity, your intellectualness, and your emotional part of life. So that's why I feel like generally it's best if you study in the morning or afternoon in your creative or intellectual hours, and not in that evening hours. But of course, everyone functions differently. So I really function like that only. Like, I put all my creative work in the morning hours, intellectual work stuff afternoon, evening, and then the post 8 o'clock, I just give time to my friends, to my family, and like just connect with them emotionally. Yeah.
I never thought about the day this way.
What do you
I
think? Does
never
it
thought
make
about the
sense to
day
you?
this. I think it definitely makes sense to me. Is that something that you just came to realize or something that you picked up from some other place? Like how,
I think I
uh,
was discussing with my friend about my schedule. Like, I try to be very organized. I really like to be organized. I feel like my life is so much easier when I'm organized. So I find different
yeah,
methods, I read different things. So I was discussing with one of my friend only about this. And then, like, the way I was telling him my routine, he just mentioned about this, the creativity, intellectual and emotional part. And he was referring that how I am also very much aligned with this thing. So and how my life and the way I'm organizing my daily things are so much in aligned. So I was also like, wow, I was doing this unconsciously, but yeah, I'm doing it. So that's why.
Yeah.
Also, I want to add one more thing because you were talking about mindfulness and routine. So, in languages, I believe it is so important to be consistent. You just take 20 minutes out of your day, 15 to 20 minutes, but you have to make that. If you're learning a language, make a priority of taking out 20 minutes a day to the language. If you are not able to study anything, just revise what you did before. But I feel it's so important to be just constantly in touch with the language. And I really like, if you know, study with Danai on in the studygram. Even on like days she's like not feeling like study, she has like a culture day where she's like maybe studying about the culture of the language she's studying. So that is such a beautiful way to incorporate language into your life on daily basis, that if you're exhausted studying 6 days even for 20 minutes, then you can just have a culture day for 20 minutes. Just watch a YouTube video on Chinese culture. So I think that consistency is so important to have a good base on language to basically learn language faster. Everybody wants to learn language faster, right? So the only way to
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
language faster is give 20 minutes each day to the language. So that is very
You think
important.
20 minutes is enough for like in a long term? Like,
If you're taking Mandarin, like if you're taking a language as a career, no. If you are taking language as a hobby, yes, it is enough.
yeah.
If you're taking a language as like for employment person, again, yes, it is enough. But if you're taking it as a career, of course, 20 minutes is not enough. You need more time. But I think it really depends on what's your goal with Mandarin. If you're okay with spending more time, but be consistent, and it's 20 minutes are okay. But if you are really taking it, oh, I need to learn faster, I need to learn like basically
Well,
2 hours a week. I'm talking about 2 hours a week. And then if
yeah.
you take 2 hours a week into a month, it becomes 8 hours a month. 8 hours a month. Yeah. So I mean, if not 20 minutes, it depends. Like it really depends on how much time you want to devote. But if you really want to study language, but because people have this problem nowadays. When I teach group students and I teach most of the business students and the people who are full time learning, full time job, who have full time job, they are learning Mandarin with me. I cannot expect them to give 2 hours a day to Mandarin Chinese. They can only give 20 minutes, and trust me, most of them don't even give 20 minutes. What they do is, if there's this class on Saturday, they will start revising on Friday night for 1 hour,
Yeah.
because that's how
Yeah.
we are trained to do everything in life. Even for exams, we prepare just before
Yeah.
the exam. But this is not a good approach.
Yeah,
A good
but
approach
then
is
like
just,
I think they're just learning the language. I think that then they're just learning the language to pass the test. Like they're not really learning the language. It's just
I mean, yeah, even
if you're
you,
gonna learn, right, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I totally
Yeah,
get it.
I mean that's for me like that's just like so I mean if you're doing something, if you've decided to do something, now, I mean, obviously, someone maybe they just want to dabble in Chinese. They just want to be able to say hi, hello, few
Mm-hmm.
greetings, and But like, if you're seriously talking, like you have been in this more than 7 years, and I
Yeah,
know that how much time that I've put in on a daily basis, and I still don't feel nowhere near.
yeah,
Uh, I would even say conversational,
yeah.
So I don't even know how much you would possibly learn by just putting in like 20 minutes
I mean, you
and like
definitely learn.
studying
It will take
before.
longer time. I would say it will take longer time, but you definitely learn. Uh, at least, okay. So I used to learn Chinese 8 hours a day. I used to study for 8 hours a day because I took it
Yeah.
as a career,
Okay. Wow.
right? So I had like a
Yeah.
4 hours classes, and then I'm 4 hours self study. So
Exactly.
so I studied for
Yeah.
8 hours a day, but 20 minutes is so I'm not saying just 20 minutes for self study. What I'm trying to say is you are taking, so 20 minutes is for those people, I would say, who are taking courses already. So if you're like studying with me 4 hours a week, okay, 2 hours, 2 hours, two
Yeah.
hours Saturday, 2 hours Sunday, and after that Monday to Friday, you just have to actually study for 20 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
You really don't need more than that, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
Uh,
if you're self-studying, you definitely maybe need to put 1 hour a day. That's more practical.
Definitely, I would say.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would even say like put minimum at least 3 hours for like just to have practical results, you know,
Trust me,
because
a person who is already married, who has a full-time job, it's so hard
true.
for them
Okay.
to take out 3 hours a day because they have to give their time to family, they have to give time to their job, they have to
Yeah.
take care of themselves as well. And in between finding a, time for languages, it's not that easy for sure. It's not that. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course you need to make a priority, but it can get difficult. Like 3 hours is a
Yeah.
lot.
I think it's all about question of the like how fast you want to get there
And
and like
yeah, important
what other
priorities.
priorities you have in
Yeah, yeah,
life.
for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
where you are in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so those two things are definitely
Yeah. And
the key
also
factors.
key factors, and also I think sometimes 3 hours a day or 1 hour a day can intimidate people. Oh my God, I cannot give that much.
Yeah,
So I feel if I
yeah,
say to someone, okay, if you can't give like 1 hour or 2 hours, 3 hours, at least give 20 minutes, you will still reach somewhere. 20, okay, let's say 1 hour. Like 20 minutes is basically for my students. I'm sorry. It's for self learners who are not taking any teacher's help. 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day is a minimum that they should
yeah,
give. So at
yeah.
least, yeah. So because at least it will not intimidate them that we can't give so much time. But yeah, 1 hour a day we can take out.
And
But I have
I would
seen
actually
people
say that learning with a teacher is a totally different experience. When you're
you learn so
self-learning and when you're
faster.
learning with it, you learn fast because I think human interaction is key to learning. And I can tell you from experience, like, you know, those things that I've actually, those phrases that I've actually used with people have have really been drilled into my long-term memory than compared to
Yeah.
those that I haven't used yet.
Do
So,
you
like at the when you first started learning, how long before you felt like okay, you can hold to some degree, you can hold a conversation? When did that realization come that okay, you know, you're getting somewhere with this, or like you're seeing some real progress when you feel
I
like
think
when
I
when you
studied.
feel surprised with yourself, like wow, that was when
Yeah.
you just get that little bit of surprise that okay, you know, like that was really cool that you were able to
Yeah.
maneuver that.
So when I was in my own country, I never had a opportunity of speaking. And so in 2013, it never happened. 2014, never happened. 2015, when I went to China, when we used to travel, and when you travel around China, you're literally forced to speak Chinese. You're not as much as forced to speak Chinese in your classroom as much as you're forced to speak when you're traveling. But I think when my aha moment was probably in my classroom, because in classrooms we used to do this role play activity where you basically have to prepare something and then you have to present in front of the class. And there were presentations as well, that you have to give presentations on the food, your country's culture or your country's food, and then you have to speak at least for 5 minutes. And even like when I was able to explain for 5 minutes about my culture or food, it was like a very amazing feeling that wow, I can do that. So until and unless someone is like forcing you to just stand and like speak, it it,
Yeah,
it is a bit hard. Like self motivation is
yeah.
a bit hard for sure.
But I'm telling you, like pressure, like you said, I think when you're have to speak, that's a really good place to be.
Yeah, yeah,
When you
yeah,
just
definitely.
have
You're
to,
literally forced to speak. Okay, I think
you,
another great way to speak as well, like you can also practice that if you think, I mean, if you wish to. So take nouns. Take nouns. For example, should I show you practically? I have given you a link. Can you open that link?
okay, so it's okay. Shui, I think this is water. Is it water?
No, it is like fruit.
First
So
one,
this is shueguo,
fruit.
right? So what you
Shui
can do
guo.
is, yeah. So I'm sorry, it's not an opinion because I make it practice like with characters only to my students. So the aim of this game or this way is you put some flashcards with nouns on it. For example, you put shueguo. Now you try to describe it like 这是一个吃的东西，然后这是一个吃的东西，然后 you can say 苹果是什么 or you can say like you can just try different ways to say explain this word. So for example, I can do it better with 苹果. 苹果 is apple. So I can say 这是一个水果，这是一个红色的水果。这个医生说吃这个水果对身体很好。It's very basic sentence, like HSK level 1 sentences I'm telling you. So you can
Yeah.
also practice this way as well, like you are basically giving yourself like a word and then explaining that word. So that really helps in improving your
So
Chinese
the first one
speaking.
is 水果,
水果, right?
and this hey, it's actually it's when I hover over it, I'm getting maybe it's the extension on my computer that's doing it. Okay, 水果.
Right.
Okay.
Next,
The second one is 水 study something study
学
school
学
xiao
校, right? So how can you explain this
学校
word 学校? So you can say this is a place.
学校 Honda
No, 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 no.
学校 what the
No,
what the what the
you
学
actually
校
no, no, no,
Honda.
no, no, no. You don't have to make sentences out of a word. You have to
Okay,
you have to
describe it.
explain the word, like the so you can say, like,
Okay,
for
what
example,
is
school.
word?
So
Okay,
you can say this is a place. Okay, this is a place, school is a place.
right.
This is a school, this is a
Hmm.
place. Students study in this place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Students
Okay.
study in this place.
这是一个地方，
对, and
这是一个地方，
mm,
呃，
a lot of students study.
随学，随学，随学，学习哪里
Very good. So it's very easy.
Yeah,
这是一个地方，学生睡在那里，肯定是学校. Probably it's a school. And
yeah,
okay, let's see the
yeah.
next one.
I think this one is factory something, room. What is this?
饭店.
Um,
Is it 饭店?
no, no, it's still something to study. Is it classroom?
Oh,
同学.
同学. Yeah, it means classmate.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you can say it's a person. Like you can say
Well,
uh in
just just一个人，一个人，just我的朋友，just我的朋友，
这是我的朋友, right? And how? 我跟他，
我跟他，我跟他，我跟他，我跟他，一起学习，我跟他一起学习。
very good. 一起学习. Yeah. So I think these three words, three sentences are enough to tell, okay, there is a person, he's your friend, and you study together. 肯定是同学. Because 同学 is classmate, you study together. Like major
Okay, how about I
definition.
try to pick a card and I won't tell you the card, but I'll just try to describe it.
Sure, do that.
Okay, so let's see.
嗯嗯
我要去哪里？
你要出
我
我明白了，你肯定要去饭店。
yeah, yeah, yeah.
嗯 Good.
Okay.
Next.
This is fun. This is really fun.
This is one
Okay.
of the speaking activities that I do with my students. 啊，
这是一个语言，这是一个语言，我想学习。
哦，你想学习这个语言？你想中文吗？汉语？
Yeah,
嗯
yep. Oh, okay. Awesome. This is so much fun. This is the only time I feel like that I put in some work and it actually like I
Yeah,
can make sense of things.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. This is really helpful exercise.
awesome. How many cards are there?
So there are
15
15, I
cards.
guess, because these are all are
This
HSK1
is an
cards.
awesome. This is such an awesome activity. I'm
I'm
sure you're.
glad you
Yeah,
liked
this
it.
is such an awesome activity. Anyway, this was. I had so much fun playing this game. We should. I'm probably gonna get you to do this again sometime with me and book a
Sure,
lesson with you.
sure.
Most likely. But thank you very much for doing this interview with me, coming on my channel. Appreciate you doing this, and yeah, I hope that you'll come back again as well in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to. Thank you for inviting me for the interview. I absolutely love talking. And that was all about this interview, right? Talking and knowing each other's perspectives, which is great. So I hope to be here again.
I'll see you now.
All
Yeah,
right.
bye.
Bye bye. 再见.